Morning, everyone. First of all, I must say that for a first meeting of an association of this kind, it's fantastic to see the energy in the room and the attendance. I can assure you that NASSCOM, the body which has now been in business for 25 years in India, did not have this kind of interest and attendance in their first meeting. So it can only get better from here. Congratulations, and thank you very much for that. I want to thank everybody, particularly the organizers, ABSL, members of the government, and all of you, the distinguished audience, for giving me this opportunity to speak here today. People say I'm a perennial optimist as a business leader, but hopefully over the next few minutes, I will convince you about the potential of this business in the global markets and why any member of this industry really needs to be an optimist. Let's start by looking at the numbers. While most industries in this time of economic stress are actually struggling to grow, I'm sure all of you will be delighted to hear that the global business process area is now growing at about 5 to 6%, and the offshore business and countries like India and the others are part of that, are now growing at double that that percentage. That's really the big exciting opportunity for us in this new world economic order. So from what we see, the future is really exciting. Let me now try and trace why it's going to be exciting for us. First of all, welcome to the era of everybody knowing everyone and can now talk to everybody. They now call it being social. The era where you don't have to be physically present, yet you are omnipresent all over the world. They call this augmented reality. The era where a cable can disrupt the way you conduct your business because that cable is tracking how much of TV you consume, which channels you do not see, how much of power is being consumed inside your house, what time you are using in some of these facilities, how often you are leaving your house to drive your car out, and as a result of that, using analytics at the back end, recommendations can be made to all of us on how we should live our lives for the future. So when we ask ourselves the question, why is the future exciting? I will basically say because we in the business process management industry are making it interesting, and we will continue to make it interesting in the future. So the future is interesting because we, through the help of technology and analytics, are providing unprecedented kind of impact, to the world at this point in time. It teaches us new ways of succeeding, almost philosophical, coming to think of it. Today, we have the option of owning some things, and quite often, what we think we own, we actually don't own. But tomorrow, you will probably not own your business at all, and that is essentially because a lot of that is now on the cloud. So what you think you own is actually on the cloud. Everyone is aware of what is happening. Customers do not want to pay for the whole, but only basis for what they use and consume. And today we call that, pay as you go or pay as you drink. So there are lots of new disruptors entering this world, for us. SMAC, we call it, or social media, analytics, and cloud. For me, I think these are the catalysts of a very exciting future for all of us. Let's talk about the amazing possibilities now. When someone wears a headset kind of a gizmo, which sits over one eye and has a resolution like a 25-inch television set, can do surgery with it, can take a picture and record without using hands, can get directions, and translate into different languages and get answers to questions that are not asked, it is not fiction anymore. All of us are aware that today that is now called Google Glass, right? If that's the information now that is going to flow, and if that is how intelligent systems are going to be, we must ask ourselves the question, what does it mean to business? 30 billion devices will be connected, and which will result in deep learning for all of us. The internet will now be connected to everything, possibly including our brains as well, enabling fast and very accurate decoding of information and providing new solutions. We are all aware of the impact of big data, social media, and the impact of social content and what clients now want from us in terms of appreciation of their end customers' business based on how they interact on social media sites. So tracking real-time sentiments will enable brands to deliver better. We are already aware that autonomous cars are now have already driven 300,000 kilometers without an accident. Can you imagine the impact of that? And again, the fact that what we call the Google car is likely to be a trend that will be absorbed by the globe within the next 5 years. Predictions are that in the next 5 years, the ability to transform that technology into every car in the world will take just 5 to 6 years. Imagine the impact of that kind of a technology on our business, which may start with the contact center business, and the impact it will have on businesses like insurance, on claims. If there are no accidents, what are we going to do in terms of running an insurance business or servicing insurance clients, right? So it is some of these new trends that we have to keep a close watch on and keep staying ahead of the curve in terms of skills development and in terms of constantly creating or recreating ourselves and the value proposition for our clients. Let's talk quickly about when will this future be exciting. From our perspective, it is today. It is already becoming very, very exciting. We already know of corporations who realized years ago that new disruption was coming into this business and that the old models that essentially focused on just reduction of cost and efficiency gains were not going to resonate in the global markets or with clients anymore and had therefore moved into new models. You will see that those companies are continuing to progress much better. And I just again want to remind you of some of the trends that people are talking about. In the next 6 years, just like the Google car will take over our lives, 230 million knowledge workers across the globe will be impacted by automation. So we have to fear that. Huge number of us will be impacted by the impacts of automation. And therefore, what is going to happen is that skills development is going to be the most important area of focus for the long term. Continuing to provide solutions that traditionally in the US people called your mess for less is not going to work. The whole focus has to be on taking that model from there to efficiency gains to an end-to-end kind of a global solution for clients and driving new business insight and strategic thinking for clients that help them stay ahead of their competition in this kind of new world order or this new marketplace. That is what the most progressive companies in business process management have now done. And one of the reasons why I'm talking about some of this stuff, and I'm talking about the impact of skills development and education, is because we believe that this is probably the most exciting area for youngsters globally to get into. This is the business that is going to provide a 25-year career opportunity for youngsters. And therefore, I'm hoping that everyone in this audience will go out and continuously evangelize our messages, and the fact that for Gen Y and in future Gen Z as well, they understand the impact that this industry is making. I want to, quickly, come back to the industry, and at this point in time, I'm going to talk about NASSCOM and the Indian industry and how India has continuously focused on this business and has grown and taken a leadership position here. Right now, I think we are at an inflection point of growth. As I mentioned, the old models based on which this industry actually started was based on the fact that clients played this wage arbitrage model. So Western clients wanted, people in India and a few other countries to provide certain services at a lower cost. So they actually played the wage arbitrage. All of us got a little more efficient. We added layers of technology. We added, automation. Then we started, bringing in a business domain knowledge in there. But for a long time, our clients told us that we are the experts in our business, and we want you guys to just help us with the cost reductions and just do what we tell you to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that model has changed dramatically, right? No more do the large, successful global, companies in this business continue to play that model. We are all focused on a completely new, world order. Today, automation and technology and, cost reduction is a given. Today, the entire focus is around how do we understand the end behavior of our clients, customers, and then using high-end analytics and knowledge around finance and accounting and new other tools that we have, we actually go to our clients and provide to them disruptive new thinking that, that enables them to stay ahead of the competition or really helps them create a new revenue stream. It may surprise all of you, but for example, I can give you many examples, but I'll just take one example, from WNS. But for the world's biggest beverage brand, every time the CEO is making a call on which new brand is to be positioned in what market, it is WNS, which actually provides information into the CEO portal based on customer behavior and analytics that helps him or her make that decision. So no more, is the business either from India or from global markets, the old model. It's a completely new market. Back at home, I also happen to be the chair of the NASSCOM BPM Council. Just to explain to you, NASSCOM is a similar body as ABSL, started about 25 years ago in India. Has succeeded beyond its wildest dreams at this point in time, to the extent that NASSCOM has its own source of funding from member companies, and we have elections, and then we actually have elected people joining the board of NASSCOM, right? So no specific company is driving the agenda of NASSCOM, but it is a unique body where all of us who are members of the industry compete fiercely in the marketplace for clients. But when we sit at the NASSCOM table, we all focus on the industry and driving growth, for ourselves and the country long term. Just to give you a little sense of why that model works and why I would encourage all of you to drive the ABSL model, in the last 6 years, India's business process management business grew at a CAGR of 19.8% and created new employment of about 13% in the last 6 years. In fiscal 2014, the industry is expected to grow at between 12 and 14%, and driven a lot by the higher-end transformational services, which I spoke about. Today, about 10,000 people in India now work on the knowledge processing side, and then what we now call KPO. And I'm sure some of you are aware of it, so I won't bore you with details there. 46% of people in our industry in India are now domain specialists and have specialist degrees. No more do they just have a simple basic degree. 46% of our industry in India are now accountants, doctors, PhDs, statisticians, right? That profile. And that's the big change that has taken place in the industry. Gender diversity is something we track very carefully, and we drive. It is now 55-45. Unfortunately, in the ratio of the men, in the advantage towards men, so we're still doing a lot more from an individual company and a NASSCOM point of view there. But 55-45 is a very, very healthy ratio in a country that has 1.3 billion people, produces 3.5 million graduates a year, of which only 7.5% actually come to our industry. What is most important is many industries in India, which are in retail, the construction industry, and the infrastructure industry, are booming because of the impact that we have made to the industry. What is even more interesting is whereas you think that it's a mature industry from India's point of view, I have just come here after announcing the new export figures that we expect to achieve in India from this industry. And what is today a $21 billion industry on the business process management side, we have now projected to be a $50 billion industry by 2020. That is a CAGR of almost 13%. Now, I want to explain to you how we plan to do it. Whereas in the past, a lot of it happened because of good planning, but a lot of it also happened by accident. This time, we are not leaving it to accident. It is extremely well planned for. There are only 3 initiatives that India and NASSCOM will now drive in order to get to that $50 billion. The first initiative is we are now embarking on a complete rebranding of the business process management industry to explain to youngsters who join this business the impact of this industry, to explain to influencers, the parents, teachers, government, the solid impact this industry has on the nation as well as on a career choice. And also, we have brought out a lot of new collateral to demolish the myths around this industry that it is very low-end and it is just low-end voice or contact center. It is all about customer interaction today and our driving a completely new impact for our customers. The second big initiative that we are driving is creating an ecosystem for talent. Now, again, I want to tell you that in a country of that size, for the first time ever in the history of the nation, we are actually mapping every horizontal and vertical. We have just announced 11 verticals and 10 horizontals. We have created 111 job families, and we are now focused on creating new curriculum and course content, and then having every one of the skills that has been identified certified. So in the future in India, if you want to be a part of this industry, you will need that certification. So in the past, we recruited for degrees. In the future, we are focused on skills. No more will we now bring in a civil engineer and convert them into an IT engineer, right? That complete model has changed. And it is extremely exciting, to actually run a task of this mammoth size. The third key initiative that we are focused on is, while talking about the high-end services that India is creating, we are now creating a center of excellence approach such that some specific services from within India will be called out as the leading services in the world. So just like when you think of great coffee, which country do you think of? Brazil, Colombia, right? When you think of advanced electronics, what do you think of? Japan, Taiwan. So in the future, you will see this rebranding effort where when you think of, I'm giving you two examples now, high-end finance and accounting or high-end analytics, the first country that will come into your mind will be India, right? And there's a huge kind of initiative going on behind the scenes to drive that. So I want to encourage, ABSL also to drive this agenda with the government and also focus very clearly on specific areas that can be used to drive the growth of the Romanian market and frankly Europe as a whole. You produce 200,000 graduates a year, right? And therefore that's a limited number, but it is very exciting because you produce graduates and you also have the ability to bring in high-end finance and accounting kind of people into this market. So there has to be specific focus around explaining to youngsters that more and more of them should come into this industry. And it has to start with a complete brand awareness program, bringing the government in to understand the impact this industry can have on the nation itself in terms of nation building. So overall, I would say that longer term, this industry is going to be all about high-end disruption. It's going to be all about, our driving, our clients in terms of their, next generation behavior. I want to end now by thanking, all of you for being patient and listening to my little talk. More importantly, I want to wish ABSL, all the very best as they, undertake this journey. I think it's pioneering activity, and I want to congratulate the leaders who have taken the responsibility of, bringing this before us. I am looking forward to actually having NASSCOM tie up with the ABSL body across the region so that we can work closely with each other. The world is now a marketplace. Countries cannot compete with each other. They actually, work together. If you look at WNS, for example, we have 26 or 27,000 employees at this point in time, but we operate from 32 delivery centers and 12 countries, right? So we don't compete with any country. All countries are countries that provide an outstanding solution to clients, but every country must choose which area they want to be best in and then back it by investments and solid, focus. So again, thank you all very much, and I wish the function all success.